Last time on the Empire's Edge.
So the Baron is quiet and he's looking at you, Boris, as though he's waiting for some kind of a response.
How did this happen?
It was a battle. I'm not sure, a coastal town. Maybe you know the name of it, Tur something.
Turjak, yeah.
That your father and brother were defending it against some sort of an invasion force, and he died during that.
Was the defense successful? Do you know?
I was told that it was. I don't know particular details about it, but whatever that Reclavinian force was that was attacking, trying to use that as a base point, were repulsed.
Any other news?
Only that a great deal of your family force in knights are fighting the war near the fringe somewhere. Maybe 20 knights, a couple hundred cavalry, under the command of your swordmaster. I'm not sure who that is. And then there's still a great deal of force, maybe even up to a couple thousand, that are maintaining the barony itself.
I see. I assume you'll want to do some kind of a formal presentation?
I would think that would be in line. There's a great representative of members of the nobility from the Confederation of Duchies here. That would make sense that you're elevated to baron. It's unusual. I've never been in the situation before, but I would defer to whatever your wish would be regarding how you wanted this to happen. You are the Baron of Morskemen.
I think it'd be wise. I'd need clothing made, mourning clothing, of course.
Yeah, you could have whatever I need here, sure.
And of course, your permission to stay.
Absolutely. Yes, you have the run of this barony.
My thanks.
So I guess we're just like sitting around like, hey.
Yeah, so you guys are standing there. So do either of you say or do anything with this information or news as it's happening, or do you react to Boris in any particular way?
I mean, I'd like to roll an insight on the Baron of Arkland to see kind of like how he's taking the news. What maybe his
The Baron is no longer a distinguishing term.
Yeah, I had to specify that, right? So let's see. Oh, natural 19 insight would make that a 23.
Yeah, gosh, with that just being so up there, that you recognize that he's not really communicating sorrow, that there is no kind of grief there. It looks more like he's looking at this as being a major power and cash opportunity. Yeah, that he now has this person who was working for him is a baron of a fairly powerful barony way up in the Confederation of Duchies. He already has so many ties to baronies in the Confederation that this is just one of the strongest ones probably now that he has. So that's all he's seeing is opportunity.
Okay, but it's not like I'm getting any sort of a sense like, oh God, I hated that guy. So glad he's dead. But this is mainly just it's unfortunate what happened. However, I see this as a really good opportunity for me.
I'd imagine that there'd be some amount of concern too until I asked his leave to stay in the city that I'd try and usurp him.
Right there. So yeah, Jacob, your assessment is exactly correct, and it would be a tense moment until Boris had said, by your leave, may I stay here? And he's like, yes, of course, absolutely.
Okay.
Because he still has the vastly superior force, but that would wreck him if he suddenly attacked a baron here in his own barony.
And I don't know about Zelen, but I know Jacob right now, his mind is rushing like, oh no, what's going to happen to Boris? Because that's pretty intense.
Right, because there is a civil war still taking place in the Confederation of Duchies. Obviously, the former baron, his father of Morskemen, died in it. So it is an ongoing thing well to the north.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I want to talk to Boris, but I don't want to talk in front of this guy.
Yeah, especially after we know that he's looking at this as a potential power opportunity, like
Or a power struggle.
Exactly.
I mean, because maybe Boris does want to do something, and I don't want to have that conversation in front of this guy.
yeah.
So when it's just quiet for a moment, he doesn't offer, drinks, refreshments, anything. It's not that kind of
You
a
had said we
get-together.
had a drink in hand.
Yeah, we got that already. I
okay.
guess if it's awkward and it doesn't feel out of
Nursing
place,
that, yeah.
looking at him and saying, "It's like, may we have the room?"
We can certainly have you escorted to another chamber if you wanted some privacy.
Please.
Boris, we could make an announcement in front of the group that's gathered here now, or would you prefer that after a mourning period of 3, 4, 7 days?
It'd be better to get it done now while there's a feast already ongoing and they're all gathered.
Who knows about it? Because if more than you know about it, it's going to leak out.
I'm sure it already has. There are probably some
Yeah.
that do know right now.
So
And likely those with ties, if not to Morskaman, to Quint on one side or the other. They'd probably have their own information coming in.
With them all knowing and you being here, what plays could possibly already be made for your own seat?
Well, the reality is, Fleetwood says, that as many members of the noble families that are here, representatives of noble families that are here in Carn Keldley, that's known in the Confederation of Duchies. So more than likely there are spies here as well.
Yeah. So I agree. Announcement now sounds like a fantastic idea.
Mm-hmm.
Does it seem like out of place for us to have that private conversation first before we go out there? Or do we want to just make this announcement right this second, right now?
No, he goes to the door and he waves somebody in and tells that person to escort you to the green parlor.
Okay.
And you're taking through a couple of doors, a hallway.
Right before we leave, my lord, I would ask a favor. The use of your palace smith, if I may.
Certainly. He's always on station here.
Here's a sack of
He
metal.
doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't ask why. He just. You
I have no inclination
to
to
make something
explain
yeah.
until he asks.
Fine. So you are.
He'd probably be aware that I'm wearing a hammer and not the Argolian sword, so I'm betting he's got
I'd be
some
aware
degree
you're
of
wearing a hammer.
inference.
Yeah, let me actually just roll that for him. If that would be something that he would really be paying attention to. He notices that you're armed.
Well, he took the hammer off me, and
yeah.
he and I have met previously while I was wearing the
At this moment, you were
sword.
like, "Holy crap, you're wearing a hammer!"
Yeah, actually, I rolled a very high one for him. So he is aware that you're
Yeah,
sans
I just
sword right
assume he would be.
now. Okay. So you guys are in, a few minutes later, you're in a separate parlor. It's just the three of you.
Quick
right,
perception around the
so-
room, make sure there's no ways for people to listen in.
Listening
or
devices?
Yeah, like
Are
there's
there
no one.
eyes wiggling in the portraits?
Exactly,
Alright.
like there's no one standing behind this
All
drapery.
right, go ahead.
Natural one.
Well, apart from those feet sticking out from the
too.
curtains,
Hey, high five! 5.
and when
18.
you look in a closet door and say, "Is anybody in there?" and a voice says, "No." Well, this
All
place
right.
is safe.
Checks out.
We're good right here.
18.
Boris, it seems as though you are alone in the room, though no one's done
Including the
arcana.
two of us.
The two of us he's alone. We're not there
They're in different
mentally.
places altogether.
All right. So what does Boris? I don't understand any of this. What does this mean? What does this mean for you? Do we have to travel to your barony now?
Not we, I. That I'd want to finish up business here, secure the trunk, and that we'd return to Warland and then part ways there. That I'd return to Morskaman to assume my throne, and you two would carry out the mission down here.
We'd carry the mission from the throne room, the sacred mission?
From
No.
the tower, yes.
He means his baronial seat, I think.
Yeah, that
I know.
Okay.
yeah, that she meant the tower.
I was gonna say, did you not have a reason to return back to Zongo's tower, or would you be parting ways from Moorland directly?
I'd be parting ways from Moorland directly. It's the best route.
It's a terrible loss, but it makes sense. Like as soon as that was talked about, it really sucks to lose Boris, but
I don't know. I mean, the three of us are so powerful together. I don't know that we can complete our mission.
I have an obligation to my family. I need to return home.
Well, of course, I understand that you have a family mission. I understand that, but we've been given a sacred mission. And how do we know? I mean, there are many things that have only worked because the three of us were together. How do we know we're going to be able to complete it?
I'm sure you'll find someone. The Civil War is civil in name only. It's a religious war principally. My first and foremost mission is to secure my barony and by extension the Confederation, so that the Church of Uko does not fall in the north. From there, once that stability is gained, then, assuming you two by then haven't completed this mission on your own or with whatever party members you deem worthy to join, then I can return and render what assistance I can.
Paladins,
Do you want me to send word to Krull?
I was just thinking about Krull too.
I mean, she's the only person who's. I just don't. We this mission is big, and who else have we met that we could trust to add to our party? Do you want me to send word to her and see if she can meet us in Warland?
Looking back, though, Krull really was just the first Irina Radabaugh. She wasn't that powerful. She was just really lucky. But
yeah, well, we could use luck. I mean, come on.
But I mean, I don't know necessarily Krull exactly. I mean, we have trained soldiers in Boris's men, although they also belong to Warland. But I know we could find someone.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We just have encountered enough things that we need three.
Yeah. But Krull also is very important to Weldon, Weldon, right?
Yeah,
because she is that one dissenting voice, like what Victor brought up before, is that she's necessary there, especially now that it's as much of a hub as it's becoming.
You have our support. I mean, you have to make the decision that you feel is the right decision.
I hate it. It makes sense, but
I think you're making the wrong decision. But I'll support you in it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Likewise.
So then when you guys emerge from this room, there is...
Oh, and I'm sorry that your brother and your father died.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. We'll get him a card.
Yeah.
What do you get a card? Like, sorry about your dead dad.
Here's a Starbucks card.
Starbucks card.
Starbucks
is his
favorite. You're on the Heartless, the Empire's Edge.
Oh, by the way, the end of the last episode, I didn't tell you guys this before, but just Robin Hood Men in Tights was going right through my head when the butler was giving Robin the whole rundown. It's like, your father, he died in battle, and my brothers, they were killed by the plague. And my mother, she died of pneumonia while you were away. And the whole time you're just listing like his father and his brother. I'm like, how many more people died? And I'm just like covering it, just doing my best not to laugh because that movie is just in my brain. And it would have been so bad if I had just chuckled right then.
I have to admit, I never think about that movie at all.
Oh, yeah, no. I do. Too much.
All right, so that person brings you back out to that main... receiving room, his baronial seat, like a throne room. Mm-hmm. And once you're there, he crosses from where he's talking to people and steps back up onto the dais and calls for attention, an announcement. The room comes to quiet. And then he says, "Good people of the Confederation of Duchies, some of you have heard of the tragic news. As heroes are made, the fighting in the north is going on, and both Reclavinian and Theocent are struggling for control there. And we wish well to all those Theocents who are defending the realm and the faith."
Hey, while he says that, can I look around the room and see if anybody kind of rolls their eyes?
Yeah, that was shockingly pointed.
Yeah. Who's looking wiggly?
Yeah.
Perception or insight?
Do you want perception or insight? Which one do you want?
They're the same.
I'm going to do insight.
I would have thought insight, yeah.
16.
19 for a 22.
Nice.
I can't do the math that fast. 21.
Okay, so you all do a fantastic job, and there is some overlap. So if you want to look at people, you could describe just who these people are. And did you turn that around for me for some reason?
No.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you were trying to pass him a note.
That's how I use paper, is I write one direction, then I write the other direction.
Okay. So there are a few different people around here. And you could just say that the man who is dressed mostly in amber colors, who is some sort of a nobleman or a courtier, and then there is an older woman who looks like she has just the last stylistic, taste in both dress and hair, like she's a caregiver from the last generation, and then a younger man who looks as though if it weren't here in a court, he could very much be a soldier or a knight himself. Those three
Mirror universe Boris.
they just stand out. That they're like, oh please. But who had above a 20 on that? I know somebody did.
Me?
Yeah, both of us.
The two of
Dang
you.
it.
You also notice that there is somebody that's in the livery of Ark Palace who's way off to one side, and he has a much more subtle movement, almost like a twitch around an eye. And it just struck you in that moment as you're just like looking at everyone panning around the room, and you see one of Fleetwood's own people who has a reaction.
Zrak,
But it was
smite.
it was so subtle. And then there is another man that's out there in like the general court who is in crimson. Again, you don't know names of these people. And he also had a very subtle reaction to all of this too.
So I'm going to make note of everybody, but very particular note of the people who are trying to hide their reactions, because those are the ones the Baron needs to be warned about. Those are the ones that are going to be the biggest problem for him in the future.
Yeah, that'd be Crimson and his own person.
Yep.
In his own livery. And then, with there are people that are nodding their heads, others are questioning. You saw a lot of that too, that, eyebrows are up, that the concerned look that they hadn't heard the latest news, and others are looking to each other and nodding their head, or, yeah, I was just saying just that thing. Because of that, the very good Baron of Morskamen died defending his barony. And with that, his son being here, and a very savior of our city, it is my honor that I present Boris Kirsanov, the Right Honorable Lord of Morskamen, Knight Lieutenant in the service of His Grace the Duke of Quint, Protector of the Singing Isles, Knight of the Chalice, Knight of the Key, Dragon Slayer, and Defender of the Faith. And then there is a very hearty round of applause.
Yeah.
It comes from all people.
Polite
that are there.
wave.
We participate.
And then once that dies down, it almost looks like it's naturally forming as though it's a receiving line. That they're sort of shuffling in, and it's coming in by, you would figure, rank.
Yeah.
And it's if there's the highest ranking people are usually here, the wives or the children of someone who's in control up in the Confederation of Duchies. And so it's the wife of a marquis, it's the wife of a baron, that sort of thing. But they're lining up, and they're going right past Baron Fleetwood and you, and the two of you are standing there as well.
Yeah, I guess we
And
stand off to the
looking
side
awkward.
while he's shaking hands and kissing babies.
Well, they if you stay up in that line there too, they'll probably you would get like kind of a curt bow.
Yeah,
kind
I
of a
don't want
curtsy.
any of that.
I mean, I want it.
I'm going to go wiggle through the crowd and see if I can find the crimson dude and the livery person, and
Okay,
see if I
livery
can
person
hear
is just
anything
standing by a
about
door, way off. From
anybody talking to him.
Let me see.
Zelen.
Not yet.
And again, not yet. There's no one talking. He's just been on his station there.
What about Crimson Guy? Where'd he go?
He's like in the middle of the pack somewhere.
Okay,
as
so
he's
I'm gonna
slowly.
move-
That could be a half an hour from now.
Yeah, I
or
don't care.
more.
I'm going to go kind of
Yeah.
move over there and see if he.
I didn't recognize any of those people, so I'll take my curt bows.
He's
Okay.
literally going to introduce himself to me. That's,
I know, but maybe I can hear like who else is talking to him. Who are his friends?
Zelen finds herself in line, and she's shaking both of y'all's hands like, wait a second, hold on.
I mean, I just it's you find out who's talking to who, because that's how you can construct who's who
fair.
else is on other people's side.
Yeah. I mean, everything you just said made sense.
For once, yay!
So the line works through, and each person, Boris, as they're greeting you, they're expressing like the same kind of condolence. And again, they look more like people who are, we've lost one of our own.
Yeah.
That it isn't like they're openly grieving. It doesn't seem as
There's
though
some
you've met anyone.
reasonably genuine sympathy.
Yeah, that some people are truly, truly sad that they might have known. And let me just roll that on a high low. That as some people come up to say something to you, you get the, you might not remember me, but I was.
Yeah, the occasional anecdote.
And they say that
I knew your father
Yeah.
or your brother or whomever.
And it is exactly that way, that some are saying that very thing. They're like, we were there at the reception, at midwinter 4 years ago, and oh, what a lovely time. And they go for a little bit, and then Baron Fleetwood usually is the one to say, thank you so much, and kind of moves them so the next person comes up again, and it goes through.
What about, isn't your fiance's mom here? Because now suddenly for her daughter to be engaged to the actual first son, not the second son, that's a big shift.
Well, not even heir apparent, but
the bear. Yeah.
Did we ever find out if she was one of the people who knew, like when he met with her just, was it yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, do we have any idea that
I
maybe
was wondering
she
what her reaction was.
Yeah, so coming through the line, before her is that woman that all of you noticed, who was a little older and had like kind of out of style by a half a generation or so.
Whiffs of violet around her.
Yeah.
There is the Baron. The Baron himself is doing the introducing. He's right there with all these people. And again, that's probably a political thing on his part.
Sure.
But he as she steps forward and she gives a curtsy, he says, "The Lady Sylvia of George County, or of George Barony, sorry." And that you would know that as being Manhurst Duchy. You're not sure which one of the marquises that is in, but it is definitely not in the fringe. That is where the fighting's on both sides,
Sure,
and
yeah.
Manhurst Duchy people went to the wrong side of the war, but it's adjacent to that area. And she again expresses, my most sincere, regrets, and then just moves on. There's nothing protracted there, and then it goes on for a number of minutes, and then Lady Volkov is introduced. And she gives the same kind of curtsy, and she looks like she is openly sad. That she is truly, truly sad. A personal friend of Boris's father. She does not relate any kind of an anecdote, but if you want to do some kind of an insight on her, go right ahead.
Not especially.
Okay, but she's been introduced. Jacob, you're standing right there. Do you?
Oh yeah, I'll do the insight.
Okay.
Once I've heard the name, and I was like, oh, that's who Boris talked to yesterday, with that exact same question I asked before. Ooh. Man, insight's better today. 21.
The pickup you got on that is that she's afraid for the lives of people that are close to her, that she is grieving, but you can imagine she's either very worried about her own daughter right now or about Boris, that if that were to happen there, and there's not a whole barony to protect them, what's going to happen here?
That tracks. But the daughter is not here, correct?
Correct.
No,
Okay,
she's back
Right.
up home.
Now, if you're watching them, no, Zelen, you said a little bit ago you wanted to ask something about or do something with.
No, I'm just kind of moving through the crowd, but around the guy dressed in crimson, so I can notice who's talking to him, who approaches. Because crowds like this, people don't just stay in line.
No,
they
they're all
muscle
talking
up
to each
to
other.
the people that they are friends with, and
That he talks to a number of people. He seems to be the center of his own little clique, that there are other courtiers that rally around him, mostly younger men that are, of like fighting capacity, fighting age. You don't really pick up on the conversations, though, unless you really try to get very close to where they are.
no, I just want to. He's a spider in the web, so I just want to know where the strings of his web go.
Yeah, there seems to be a number of people. There's usually a couple dozen guys that kind of roll in, roll out around him as he's moving through the line. But the next person that would come up that was of note was the guy that was dressed mostly in amber colors. And he is introduced as William of Krupp Barony. And that is in proximity to George Barony. It's also adjacent to those in the fringe. So again, from that region of Manhurst Duchy. And again, he just gives a curt bow to Baron Fleetwood, a curt bow to you, doesn't even say anything,
No,
and then
I wouldn't expect him
just
to.
moves on.
Practically enemy combatant.
And it's been the better part of an hour as you're doing this, and eventually the person in crimson comes up to the front of the queue, and he is introduced as Sir Justin Kelcroft. And again, you're really seeing the pattern. That is another Manhurst Duchy barony,
Breaking traitor, yeah.
a little further west. Yeah, it's like these other baronies that didn't flip, at least not openly.
I was
the way
hoping you'd say Hevleret so I could just deck him.
Yeah, so but they share a boundary with Hevleret.
Yeah.
With that side. And then it continues. So it'll be about an hour and a half, pushing 2 hours going through doing all this
Right,
before
yeah.
they're finally done and gone. And it looks like as they're leaving, they're leaving. They're not just exiting the line, doing back. Some circle in, they talk for a while, but noticeably, like with each quarter hour, the total group inside this receiving room is smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Until
You said they're leaving after they've.
yes, for the most part, some stay and talk. They're chatting this, or they're waiting for someone else that was further back in the queue. But eventually, that when the last person goes, the room is almost completely empty.
Yeah, once that's done, your leave, my lord.
Of course. And he turns to one of his own people, not the guy that rolled his eyes, the Zelen. And he says, escort the Baron of Morskamin to the smithy. He has some business with our smith. And then he says, with and by your leave, Baron.
And nod, half bow.
And he does an about face and goes off to do whatever he wanted to do, but has been doing this for the last 2 hours.
Right, yeah.
This also feels like potentially my opportunity to go and touch base with Tide again, just to
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, you're up here.
see what he's been up to.
Yeah. So it's, a maze of rooms and areas. You realize it would have been easier to go outside and then back inside to get to where the smith is in the adjacent part back behind the Ark Palace itself. But then when you do get there, there's not just a man working. There's just teams of men that are working on making armor, repairing armor, weaponry, everything
Would it have been
else.
possible for me to have sent a runner to Rothaus to get the bundle?
Oh, during all of that? Yeah,
Yeah.
we can retroplay that.
Yeah,
You could
sure.
have easily
Because I
sent
didn't picture me
one of his-
having the shards on my person.
I wouldn't think so
yeah,
either.
I wasn't picturing me, trooping through the street wearing my backpack.
Got your hobo tote with like the stick and it's like tied up on the end
bindle,
of it.
yeah.
It's actually the Warhammer.
Yeah. Open
Like,
it up.
I've got a backpack for my stuff. The hobo tote is just the Warhammer.
Nice.
Right. So then whoever that runner would have been probably would have been back within like the half hour or so. And he's come back in and up with one of your own men who that when he sees you receive that bundle, he just nods to you and do an insight on him.
Yeah, sure. 17.
His eyebrows are saying orders. If there's anything else you need for him to do.
Take that to the smithy, please.
And he does exactly that. So that when you get to the smithy, that guard of yours is still there, and the smithy has this bundle of metal.
Yeah.
And, with deference, he says, Baron, what may I do for you?
I'd like you to take a look at this. And I open up the bundle to reveal the shards of the Argolian sword.
Okay, so he doesn't know that's what it is, but he looks at it, and he's examining it. He says, that's Argolian steel.
It is. Sundered by magic, as far as I can understand. I'm wondering if it could be remade.
I could try. I could try repouring this and then working on reforging it into a sword. I've never worked this kind of metal. I don't know that I could do much more than melt it. I don't know about recasting it and then actually forging it into a blade again.
Sounds like time for an Ungolian hammer.
Yeah, so resting hand on head of hammer. What about the head of a hammer?
That would be easier. It would take a lot less to do. I don't know the properties of this, but there is certainly enough mass and maybe a little bit more from the blade of that sword to make a hammer and give me some room to practice with the metal to see what to do. But I could certainly try. Honestly, the more that I'm thinking about it, I think that I could do this. I don't know that it would have all the properties that Argolian steel has normally. I'm not sure what those abbots put into it to make it what it is, but I'll do my best, my lord.
My thanks.
If it's not too much out of place, then I would ask kind of in that, assuming we're all here together. Or do
I would think so. You guys stay
Like
together.
with that extra, like whatever he has on the side, if it could be forged into something as small as potentially a dagger, that could
Or
be.
I was wondering if you were about to say
I was not about to ask. Oh, arrowhead. Ooh, arrowheads.
Because
Didn't
your
even-
dagger's already frickin' sweet. You
Yeah,
don't need
really.
to
I know.
replace
Yeah,
it.
didn't even cross my mind. However, yes, if there are just shards of it left over, if it's
Yeah,
not out
pieces
of
left
place for
over.
me, if
Yeah,
there's pieces, if there's anything like that, I would not mind taking those and making sure that it is all repurposed.
Argolian owl fletched hair.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And
Dipped in poison fired from a
Yeah, right.
Hey, so the one thing I would like to know is, are you counting yourself as Dragon Slayer because of that worm thing that we killed?
The 3, and yes.
Yeah. If memory serves, I think I killed 2
well,
of
you're
those.
all Dragon Slayers.
Yeah,
right?
I was the one in melee combat with it.
Yeah. Calm yourself. Yeah. Okay. No,
That's
that's
a lot of
well, who
initials
got
after your
chased?
name now.
I know. Like I'm wondering, like, how big is my title now?
Right.
Better be at least 2 things.
Yeah.
All right.
But then when with the last
Baronet of
comment,
Gryan, Dragon Slayer.
Yeah.
Which honestly isn't a bad
that
list
sounds
just in
pretty
its own.
good. Yeah.
For just some random hunter guy, you're doing really well for yourself.
All I need now is my own set of clicky clacky armor.
Good luck.
I'm wondering about something about when you can actually go public about finding the Gate of the Ages. That you say something about the honor guard of the throne of Endara, or
Yeah, right.
something that sounds
yeah.
like nobody else could claim something like
Yeah.
that. But when
Jacob Treestone and the quest
Once
for
I've
the
built a
most
castle there.
title. Oh, there you go.
yeah, so the smith, he actually says, "Very well, my lords, I'll get on this immediately. I'm sure you'll be somewhere nearby. Where would I send word to?"
Rothaus.
Of course. And he gets right to work, and he starts calling guys over as they're looking at it. And of course, as you guys are just leaving the area, every single person working in that
Kind of
scene,
a
there's
murmur going.
they're all right over there because they just want to see it. They're like reaching over each other's shoulders just to touch
And
it.
then taking
because-
constitution damage, like it's still poisoned.
Ow. You're like, me hurt.
It's so sharp, the flat side hurts. Like,
Yeah, right. And then, are you heading just further down that end of the palace?
Yeah, over-
to where.
So, did you guys notice the reaction from the different people in the room?
no, I did
when,
not.
When he was talking about the Theosynths and
Yeah, I was surprised he'd make such a deliberate political stand while, as far as I'm aware, the Civil War is still anybody's claim.
yeah, I just thought some of those reactions were interesting. Do you think that I don't know that he's going to notice those kind of subtleties? Do you think we should say something to him about he needs to watch his back?
I
What's
think
on
he
those
notices a lot of what's going on.
To quote Boris from an earlier episode, nothing in a performance is accidental. So
Yeah,
I think
maybe.
every single word he said was planned out and intentional.
Yeah,
I
so
think he
that
might
was
have been-
probably him baiting.
We
So
didn't
you
trying
don't
to
think
weed
they
people
need
out.
to be warned?
No.
No, I think he knew exactly what he was doing, but also Jacob's not too well versed in how just the political climate is. Just knowing like, yeah, there's a war going on, maybe not knowing who's on what side, because even the people who know
it's
what
like,
side
oh,
they're
yeah,
on
there's
don't know what
a
side
war
others
in
are.
northern Canada. Who cares?
Well, and then as you guys are walking and talking just from the one area to the other one, and you're currently unescorted, you're just like, you're left your own. Honestly, there's a baron right there.
Exactly.
And so they just, who's going to bother you guys?
We're the escort for the Baron.
Yeah, my honor guard.
But Boris would probably easily say things like, "Well, there are definitely houses here that are on the other side of the political lines, the geographical lines that are currently Reclavinian controlled, but more than likely they're Theosynth families, and that's why they're down here."
Yeah.
But so there's a lot of political up in the
Weird
air about
sympathies
that.
and alliances.
But at the same time, Fleetwood has been doing everything to consolidate his power, and he's working on getting rid of the Zergs right now, and that could have an effect on that. All right, so then you get to Tide.
Cool.
Thrilled to see you.
Good. Yeah.
And he's just like there is no like Sir this or Lord that. He's just like Jacob. Yeah, it's been too long.
Fantastic to see. I got the first. Actually, I guess I wouldn't know. Was it the first set, or did he finish all of the amethyst tipped arrows?
I think he had like a first batch.
Okay.
And that he had the same numbers. So I think it was like another 6,
Okay,
I
cool.
believe,
Yeah, 'cause
was that you have that are amethyst tipped
Because
arrows.
I told him I got the first 6, and the craftsmanship absolutely phenomenal. Another project that is probably going to be finding its way towards you, assuming that it is actually able to work out, is, and I give him the story. Unfortunately, the loss of Boris's sword,
Yeah,
Argonian
Argolian
sword.
sword.
Sold. Argolian's sword. There we go.
Mouth words.
Yeah, mouth word. Any leftover pieces I want to give to you to see if you can't find some way of fashioning them into arrowheads or using them in some way to like stretch it out in some way, because we know the properties of Argolian steel are vast, but if there's anything left, if these still work the way they do, making arrowheads out of these, because...
Well, I'll work with the smith and see what could be done with that. And I'm sure if anything, he'll contact me. And you mentioned that to him. Yes, he'll be in touch with me about shafting a particular kind of arrow, what kind of tip and things like that.
And the next question is purely a decorative one, and I bring out at this point probably rotting dragon claw from my sack, and I say now.
Well, it's probably just rotted to bone at this point.
Yeah, or it's very dehydrated. Yeah. Let's hope that instead.
Yeah, with that, like I want to know is like, can you? And I'm picturing like having like the because what we were talking about, like potentially using the claws to make like arrowheads or like cracking them up and doing something. I think maybe like affixing them to the top and bottom of the bow and just like having them like right where the string mates and where the
like
there.
Cap.
Yeah, like capping it on there just to make it look a little bit more impressive.
Okay,
and
so
add that
gluing it
to
around the handle, so if you grab it in the wrong spot, you stab yourself in the hand.
Yeah, right. You use it as a piercing weapon. I can stab someone with a dragon claw.
Just punch straight out. Yeah. But he says, I don't believe I could do anything with arrowheads with this, but to put different like occlusions on your bow to have just for the impact of it, to have like a bump and a dip that's here and there that'll stand out, change the line. I could do that.
Absolutely. That I think just to make the bow look as impressive
and
as it
use the
truly
claws.
is, and to use the claws. Yeah.
Make it like it's a like an abrasive surface where you have these little bumps of claws along the front of the bone.
If it serves a purpose, sure. But also, I just want
as long as it's not compromising the actual flexibility of the bow. Yeah.
So are you okay if I drill some holes in this bow? No. All right, then glue, that worked out well. Glue. He gives you those other 6 arrows with the amethyst tips.
Awesome.
And then are all of you departing?
Yeah, I'm going back to Rothaus.
All right, so your entourage of your escort and many hundreds of people are still milling around outside Ark Palace, even though it's been a few hours at this point. Your horses are there. They were taken to a stable, but they're brought back out for you. And all of your people are there. You can see one of your runners is still in livery, and then all of you mount and are riding back with full escort.
Nice. Yeah, so getting back to Rothaus, handing off reins to whichever the lads to take the horses back to the stables.
And all that happens, and you guys are back into the Rothaus itself. So.
And I withdraw to my room.
Okay, so he goes grieving on his own. What do you two do?
I want to do something that I meant to do a while ago, and I'll grab one of the runners, whoever's out in the front, and I give him, trying to do the best of the things that I've been carrying around in my backpack for the longest time, and I give the 7 glands and stingers to the runner. I say, take these to Beckett Reed for me, and ask him to do what he can to make the poison potent, letting him know that I want to coat the arrowheads with these.
You're probably better off telling him to take it to the Mortal and Pestle.
Oh, that's a good point, yeah. Well, I mean, they all know Beckett Reed at this point. Like they
know
work
for him
very well.
They work for him.
I forgot for a second that our guys are druid spies.
Yeah. I give them all those materials. I say, take them there for me if you would. Give them
see if anything can be done with them.
Exactly. Give them the normal pay that we give them for a typical run.
Okay.
Knowing that he was going to wind up at this house at some point today anyway, because that's where they always go.
That's right. And he does. He runs right off.
All right.
About 5 minutes later, a new one shows up, and he's sitting on the stairs.
Cool. All right, I'm taking things off of my sheet for the first time in ages.
When I have time, I'm either studying. Oh no, I'm not studying the wizard books because I'm leaving them in their secret hiding hole.
Lemon Secret Zest.
My
favorite joke for the entire series.
Okay, so we're gonna need a T-shirt that's gonna say "Lemon Secret Zest" at the top, and then like a lemon as a chest.
I don't care if we don't sell those. I personally want that shirt.
Yeah, right. So one of you amazing people design that, and we'll buy it.
Anywho, so when I have free time, I'm going to work with the Druid Circle to just continue to try to remotely help them form and make sure they're doing whatever Druid Circles should be doing to consolidate their structure.
Okay, so that when Jacob, when you gave that the stinger glands and everything else to one of the runners to take over to to take them to Reed, Zelen leaves too and goes over there at the same time.
I could have saved.
Yeah, right.
$2 freaking bucks.
Yeah.
All right, then you're working with it. So how long do you stay there? A couple, 3 hours?
Yeah.
Okay. So you are doing that, but you're also gaining insight in the formation of your own circle, working with them about the organization of it, where to step in and where not to, because it's very much nature needs to do its own thing. And we're not just doing this just to build like a pyramid club or something.
Mm-hmm.
But then, go ahead.
Is he going to rebuild the circle here? I mean, now that he doesn't have the wizards as a threat and an oppression, is he going to rebuild the circle here? Does he want my help in the grove where it had been to kind of re-bless that grove? And I mean, not the grove, you know what I'm talking about, in the park,
Yeah,
the circle in
his
the park.
circle,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Does he want
The
my help
circle
to kind of
location.
rededicate that? Maybe cleanse it or
Well, to
whatever,
ask that,
whatever
he's
one
like,
does.
that would be fantastic, Zelen. I would love that. Let me just roll to see when that would be. A 10-sider and a... So how many? 1 and then 3. It's only gonna be 4 days away. Is the full moon? Let's on 4 days. Let's do a rededication ceremony of that there at Garnsdale Park.
Great.
Perfect. And when you do get back to Rothaus, and Boris, you've come back down from your own private time grieving, you all recognize that it's time to go to a particular place or to figure out what you're going to do there, how it's going to work on the morrow. And
Yeah.
that is what to do about the Veda Library.
Yeah, I'd want to wait personally until the hammer's been made.
Okay. All right. So form the plan then. What do you guys... So you have your suspicions about that Shapanov's mission, whatever that place meant or entailed, is inside or beneath the Veda Library. That's been very, very much confirmed at this point. So what's your plan going in there?
I think accessing stairwells first. Maybe in the minarets, the 3 that are still standing.
So you're taking natural ways down as much as you
Right,
can?
yeah.
So wait a minute, we're not going under the
I was going to
city.
say,
We're
yeah.
going.
I wonder if that, I mean, actually, I guess that would probably be a very heavily guarded area at this
Yeah,
point.
could you in the wreckage recognize what area was the most guarded? Because that's the most likely.
There's very little wreckage to the Veda Library. It's just the one minaret that came down, and I don't know if you rolled in what direction it came down. So it might have come down like right across the building.
No, it did fall out. We even mentioned that it didn't come in and crush
Yeah,
the main
I
dome.
don't recall.
It fell outwards.
Just crushed somebody's house instead.
So-
I'm a good guy.
So very little damage to the library itself, just that one minaret-like tower.
So do you want? I mean, do we need to go in first with detecting magic? Do you want to still see what kind of spells and things?
I mean, detect magic is a lot easier now since we have that wand. So
Yeah.
like that's not even costing us a thing or a ritual. It's just waving that stick around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
How many
going.
times can that one do that?
Who's they?
Literally, we all can cast it.
Yeah.
Oh, I can too.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. You're not
This is
special.
why you
that was-
read your spell
That
list.
was the
bud.
non-attuned item, right?
I get so few spells. I have 4 spells. So yeah.
And I think you are carrying it though, Zelen, aren't you?
Yeah, no, we gave to her.
Yeah.
Because it saves her the slot and the time because she's always the one who casts it anyway.
Exactly.
She is looking very thoroughly.
The wand has 3 charges.
Per day or just in general? Just
Hold on.
I don't know.
The
I don't know how
wand has
wands-
3 charges. While holding it, you can expend 1 charge as an action to cast the detect magic spell. The wand regains 1d3 expended charges daily at dawn.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
So we've got 3 castings, which would last us, what, a half hour? Yeah, a half hour.
cool
Concentration up
Oh,
to 10 minutes.
because it's number of
and it
rounds
goes
spent.
30 feet.
Okay. It's number of rounds spent when you're focusing with detect magic, not.
Yeah, if we're not in a hurry, I could just do it as a ritual too.
Oh, true. But I mean,
Yeah.
but
Either
also
way.
it's basically 3 extra spell slots that are just for detect magic. That if you don't use them, they're probably going to come back next day anyway.
All right. Well, then it sounds like the plan's going to be that when you just go to the library,
Yeah.
I guess maybe like in
Looking for magic, just because
4 or
that could
5
be interesting treasure.
in 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, once-
depending on how
once
this
I've got the
hammer's
hammer,
going, right?
yeah.
That it's going to be a I guess playing it as you go. That you're just going to see where you can go down, where there's openings to go down, what places where.
What spell books we stumble across, because who knows?
Right.
If multiple days are
Yeah.
going by, I do want to spend just a little bit of time, and I don't know if we'd actually be able to work this out right this second because it's going to take a little bit of behind the scenes trickery. But figuring out what we can do about these tipped arrows that I have, since I have a dozen of them now, if there's any way for me to put them in there because I know the way we worked it up, you're only able to have a certain number of them going at a time.
Right.
But I
Right.
wonder if like these being smaller, if there's some way like maybe they're less powerful. I don't know. We'd have to work that out, between
You're
sessions.
stashing cantrips in.
Yeah, so just finding out some way of figuring out what can be done with these. Since
Yeah,
there's
that would
so
be
many
neat
of them.
too. To have something else small in there would be really, really
Just
neat.
saying now that we do spend a couple of these days, so that way it's justified later when this is a thing that happened in these few days. That
Yeah.
would be nice
Absolutely.
just to say that.
Mentioning now so we can figure out and insert. Yeah, makes
Yes.
sense.
So then you could also just go to the Veda Library, not with the idea of trying to find
While we're talking about
that trunk, but
stuff we're doing in the interim.
Ryan, to find the trunk, you just go there and just reconnoiter. It doesn't have to be like full geared up, ready
Yeah,
for
I mean,
delving into the ground.
I wonder what a visit to the Veda Library would be, even if we don't have our quote unquote ulterior motives. It might be a very different experience, or no, not might, will be a very different experience from the first time you went there.
Who's
Yeah.
controlling the library now? I'm assuming the
Exactly.
Baron
The-
took
the
control
Baron.
of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're going to say
Well,
Boris,
which Baron?
the other one.
If you go there, I think you're in charge.
That we'd probably get in touch with Larkin Silk to see who the hell has our cash from the sacking of
Yeah, that's a
Razia
good
Tower.
idea.
Keep on forgetting about that. Yep.
Yeah, because we've got $1.50 each in silver that we're owed by a circus that just ditched.
Was it just $1,000? I thought it was more.
$1.50
Grand
each.
and a half.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
1,500 each. That's right. So so next day, I guess you guys making a day trip down to Larkin Silks at Johann Street?
Yeah, in these days,
might as well.
has anything changed about martial law, or things kind of still, or
Nothing has changed, but it's very different because it's the three of you, and in particular because of Boris.
yeah, and since we don't know, or since we know we're not wanted anymore, it's and again, yeah, walking around with a Baron, I don't think we're going to be stopped by too many people.
Now it's
Less
very
stopped, more saluted at.
Yeah.
it's very strange for the majority of the people that as you're walking around the city right now, they step back and do like little half bows and little half curtsies because they don't generally see a baron just walking around their city.
The real time sink now is the number of hands you have to shake every single time we walk out of the house.
Well, that's the point of the giving space and bowing. It's actually quicker because most people are just getting out of my way.
Oh,
Right, and
Because
he just walks right by.
If they don't, they'll be arrested.
no red lights when you have ambassador plates.
Yeah, right.
Something like that.
I do think I'm still carrying around. I took like the whole paw.
What are these hand signals you're throwing?
Oh yeah. What are you doing with the dragon hand you cut off?
Yeah,
Because
I think
okay.
nature says mutilate things.
Right. What? I think I'm just going to give the whole thing to Beckett because maybe he could use it to make stuff with.
I would
don't
think
know
so.
what I'm
Yeah,
going to do
maybe
with
he
it.
could use
A
it or-
non-Drek version of whatever destroyed Boris's sword.
Right.
No.
No, like not to do the same thing, but like doing something magical with a hand of a dragon that has some sort of a innate property. I don't know. I'm
Or
just
it'd be a
spitballing.
great
You shout a
prop.
command word and it flips you the bird.
It'd be a great prop inside his shop. You go in and there's like this mummified looking dragon
It's
claw.
like he puts it on the candy bowl, so when you go to gig something, it just reaches down and
Yeah, it's
grabs you.
inverted, holding a skull that's got a candle on top because that's the aesthetic Mr. Sage wants.
You could make a nice pipe tray with that.
Yeah.
The other thing that I do
I've
continue to
reversed
do
ideas.
is work with my familiar so that we get better and better at working together.
Coordinating, communicating.
Yeah.
All right. Let me see
Jazz.
if
Telepathy
I've-
needs training.
if
Jazzed.
I've got all this. So first things first, the next day after breakfast, you guys are on foot, apparently, heading down to Johann Street, and you get to the entryway. Do you pause at the cul-de-sac, or do you keep on walking
I
in?
walk in. Yeah.
I would. Giving him a measure of respect.
Yeah.
You know, that. And I know how much issue he has with nobility.
Yeah,
I guess
right.
he would pause, but I wouldn't. That thought wouldn't even cross Jacob's mind. I would just kind of continue in there, and like turning back and noticing him there, I would stop for a second and go to him, and then give him a gesture to come in, and waving at the folks as I walk in.
Right, because the you have now been programmed in their minds, Jacob, that despite the fact you're nobility, you're allowed in, that you're just allowed in whatsoever, but that the others stopped. I'm not sure what Zelen did, so she's somewhere right in between. But with that way forward, that would probably be all the more permission you would need, Boris,
Works
to
for me.
enter. And you're allowed pass by all, and it's like different people at this time of day, but it's different positions, different faces, but doing the same work, the nonstop.
I look
chores
for the
of it.
old lady and I make a point to give my greeting to her, or or say hi just because you have to. That
Yeah,
lady's-
she picks up an arrow and just kind of like plucks the point of it, looking at you like dink dink. It's like still works.
yeah.
But with a smile. But at the same
Order a
time,
platoon of guards in because she just threatened one of my honor guards.
Schrodinger's old lady. Like every single time I turn around, every time I can't see her, she has her arrow drawn and pointed at me. But I look back and she's just doing nothing. And
it's the fearlessness of being old. It's like, what are you going to do to me exactly?
I've already lived a full life.
I've already lived a full life, right? No, I went tomorrow too.
Oh yeah.
But then you get down to the door, and by the time you get to the door, it seems kind of amazing. But whenever you get to the door or approaching it, Larkin Silk is always there. That he seems to show up.
Actually, like 6 of them.
Right at that moment. and he said, "I expected to see you. Come in."
I always wonder, like, it's got to be like someone had to have gotten word to him. Like, as soon as we're seen out there, he can't always be waiting. Someone had to have told him.
Yeah, there's definitely one of his spies watching Rothaus.
Yeah,
There's no way there isn't.
Oh yeah, and then yeah, someone.
Or statistically, we use them as runners.
Oh, that's true. All of it makes sense.
So once you're inside, he of course offers you things to eat and things to drink, but a large locked box is produced, and he opens it up and points to the individual leather sacks that are inside. You can pick whichever one you want. They dropped off the money, those things that they couldn't find a fence for and sell immediately were purchased outright. And they'll worry about converting that to cash. But so that
Removing
we
a
had
few names off of my list.
that we had the cash waiting.
Gonna need to beep that one there, bud.
Yeah, well, yeah, I made a note.
waiting for us. We have not taken our shares. Your shares are right there, and pick whichever one you want. Each one has 1,500 in silver.
Yeah. Have we already talked about like what a reasonable share would be for them? Because I think
As I understood it, the share of this was that Inda had 2 on behalf of the circus. Each one of the guys that were there on her behalf had 1, and we each had 1.
I mean, like for Larkin Silk's involvement and all of them, like, did we talk to them at all about what we
He
were gonna
didn't
give
speak up in the discussion of
Oh.
divisions when we had that meeting.
Well, then, like I'll make a point. Like I'll take I will split mine in half, and I'll push that towards him and just say like for the use of the steel cloud kind of a thing, and just like use it for whatever we can possibly do the best with.
He says, "Perfect, and rightly so." And he'll want to have a conversation with you later in like the next handful of days, but this wouldn't be the time right now.
Okay.
And then you just stash the rest of it.
I'm gonna very happily write 750 silver pieces on my sheet right now.
Yeah.
Oh, I can do that too.
Well, you can write 1,500 unless you're giving half to the steel cloud as well.
I'm not giving half the steel cloud.
At least 10%. You got to tithe.
Given that they're not my church, no.
I know. I don't think they're my church either, but
It's closer to church than not.
yeah. So, but after doing that, that's the reason why we headed out here.
Yeah,
directly.
stay, stop, visit, information, news. Only that the martial law has become, call it level, that there are fewer incidents. Crime has dropped way off where it had spiked in that first couple of days. That things are just getting back to normal. Now, the push right now is what I'm hearing is that the Zrek are being forced out of positions of authority. It could be in a month's time that there is another power struggle in this city.
That's fantastic to hear.
But it looks
About the
like
Zerks getting pushed out, not the power
that Baron Fleetwood's on the winning side of that one. But I'm maintaining my own independence and aloofness.
To share with you our plans, we want to go to the Veda Library and see if we can look around there to see what all has changed there. Do you have any eyes on there? Can you give us any insight as to what's been happening over there as of recently?
Construction work. They're disassembling the remains of the one minaret and repair work underneath of it. I believe there's crews that are underground. The question is, do they rebuild the minaret or just leave it as a foundation, make a garden or something like that? But it's been mostly clearing it and doing repair work to the houses that the upper part of it struck and damaged.
There's an interesting idea for the Razia Tower. Move the Druid Circle so it's there instead. Have a Razia Park now.
If nothing else, like a monument, a constant reminder of what happens when you try to do anything.
Cross Boris Kirsonov.
Yeah, well, I was talking about the minaret at the Veda Library.
and I was talking about the Razia Tower.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, but both of them just make them becoming monuments of here's what happens when you try to cross the Baron.
Well,
which one?
If I didn't say that before, I forget if I did. That Baron Fleetwood did not put any kind of a fence or a cordon around the fallen Razia Tower. that if people were down there digging to get wealth or money or gold or anything else,
Building materials.
he was, everything. He was letting people.
Oh, yeah, no.
So it was just being completely just savaged after that, too.
Yeah, burn it down and scatter the ashes. Makes
Yeah.
perfect sense.
So nothing else beyond that. Anything else there, or do you depart?
No, unless you guys had any additional questions about.
No, this isn't my department.
Yeah, no. So, thank you first time.
He says, come back in 4 days.
Will do.
And then you guys leave and depart there. And they're all doing their work outside.
We both leave and depart.
Then days go by. If there's anything else you want to do apart from that, you're working with the druids, helping out there. And
I'd probably be
Patiently
working
waiting.
to some extent with the steward, trying to find, maps, especially old maps of the Veda Library.
oh, that's reasonable. Yeah. So go ahead and what would that be? Probably an investigation, I would think, to
Works for
find things
me,
through there.
even
Go
though
ahead.
that plus sucks. Can I do a siegecraft? Oh, yeah, I'll take that 15. Never mind.
Yeah, sure. And you do find there's different areas, and you can tell there've been numerous construction sites in it where walls been removed or rebuilt, sections like little buildings inside the
Right.
massive dome of the library that have been built.
Well,
and-
it's a castle, so yeah.
yeah, it really is. And then just that, the fortification of different areas to make it still look like a pretty building on the outside when it's really quite the defensible structure
Yeah.
from the inside itself. But you
so
have a
doing
lot
what
of
I can during the day to piece together potential routes, likely locations, just narrowing our search so we don't have to go over the whole building.
Okay. So then in about 4 days from when you dropped off the pieces of the weapons, you get a runner from Ark Palace saying that he thinks he's onto something, and would you come to the smithy?
And I do.
Do you guys go with him, or do you stay? Okay.
Eagerly,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, yeah, because you've got arrows invested in this too.
No.
All right. So when you get back up there, and you're allowed through, of course, and the Baron isn't even somewhere around to meet you. He doesn't seem to be too concerned about that too. But people do like defer and move and respond as though you're in charge, because that's just how they're
Programmed,
preset.
yeah.
I'm curious, how does the interaction at the gate
Trained,
go?
I
Do we
mean.
even get stopped, or can we just like basically walk up to where the guard is and just continue walking without even a pause?
There was very little pause.
Okay.
That as you were approaching it, it was quite
A
clear who
salute
you
and
are.
acknowledgement.
Like they might look over at us like, oh, who was this? Oh, and then
And
like a
you-
salute. and
Again,
they go.
great big
Bypassed
crown
the
on my
line
head.
and
Yeah.
just went
Circle
right
to
through.
blasting.
That noble torque thing that we got, will that fit over my armor? Can I wear that on the outside of my armor so then people
Oh,
know that
yeah.
I've got a noble
that
thing too?
Baron Warland gave us.
Let's say yes.
All right, so I'm going to slap that noble torque thing on
Yeah.
and walk around with that when we're going
See if we
into
can't
the
get a
palace.
matching one for Morskaman. There, I was struggling with the name. Something
Alright.
similar
And
to rep both baronies.
yeah, that'd be pretty cool, really.
What's your symbol?
It'd be
Why are you
better
laughing?
balanced.
No. Just that I just dish out stuff. You guys have property. We'll leave it at there.
Yeah, I mean, you've referred to us as your honor guard. I'd like to be able to other people. I not have to introduce myself that way. Have the torque to do it for me.
So you get to the smithy, and he's like, "Oh, my lord Kirsanov, my lord, my lady, look at this." And he has what looks like, from like the haft itself might be like at the very end of it a different kind of metal, but the head of this thing and a portion of the shaft are all it's already been cast. It's already been taken out and worked. That it looks like it is fully an Argolian hammer
Marvelous.
Wow.
that he has put together. And he's saying the metal actually reworks. As far as what power is in it, I'm unsure. I don't know how to gauge those sorts of things. But it's been purified with fire, and it would require, I think, a blessing of some sort. Maybe an abbot, maybe one of their abbot warriors, that they could actually bring the energy of this back or make it alive. Or maybe it's already there. I just don't know. But the metal, I was definitely able to work back into this shape, this form.
You have done magnificently. You have my thanks.
Thank you, my lord.
And I heft it, feel its weight, how it swings, and kind of in that, you using those motions as kind of a disguise. Use divine sense. We never really talked about whether or not the Argolian sword ever pinged as a consecrated object. We're usually too focused on whatever dead thing we were fighting.
That's right. We really do.
So retroactively, did it ding as a consecrated object?
It would have, yeah, because it is like its own little like holy place.
And so, does the hammer?
It does.
Ooh,
Nice.
yeah.
Now I wonder.
Now it feels like it's almost like it's hidden down in deep, like it's
so it's wholly
dormant but
trapped.
present.
Yeah, dormant's a good word, but a little bit inaccurate too. It's as though something is there waiting to be like released,
Okay.
opened up, but it does still ping.
It
What
needs to
about
kill a
magic?
dragon.
Do you want me to check it for magic?
Yeah, might as well.
If only we had some sort of a magical object that didn't
I
cost
wonder.
us.
So I'll use the wand to check it for magic.
It does have a magical essence around it. If you had ever tried that for what the Argolian sword was before, it might not be the same, but it still is carrying something.
So still that kind of muted, dormant, for lack of a better word, that
Yes.
it needs to be, enchanted, but there's, the potential hasn't been lost from the sword.
That's exactly right. And the potentials of that, it goes beyond the arcana and more into the religious or
Yeah.
spiritual.
Okay.
But
Interesting.
you have an Argolian hand.
Nice.
And like, kind of not wanting to be too expectant about it, but asking is like, how did the forging go? Were there any leftover scraps?
We worked these pieces down, and I'm glad I wasn't trying to make a sword out of this because we could not get this Argolian steel to hold a thin blade for very large pieces.
Mm-hmm.
But he, opens up a box and he says, but we were able to do this with 6. And he has 6 arrow tips that are Argolian.
Fantastic.
Now, they're not set to anything yet.
Oh yeah, no,
We've only gotten these ready this morning. And you look around this forge right now, no one is working. And they're all standing there beaming like that's all they've been doing. They're wearing the same clothes.
Yeah, they've been doing this
They look
constantly.
unwashed.
Sleeping in corners of the room.
They haven't been doing anything else apart from trying to work, rework, and do this with metal.
My thanks, all of you.
And then he also gives you an ingot that is very small, like 4 or 5 ounces.
Okay.
And he hands this to you, and he said, "This is what we first worked with, tried, melted, and then struck with hammer, remelted, and it feels different to me. I feel like whatever power of your god's Uko,
Yes.
whatever power is in it, might have left this piece. I'm not sure why this particular piece of metal. Maybe whatever damaged it is. This was the impact point." But he hands it to you and said, "It's still yours, my lord."
Thank you.
And with the same checks as before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I'll check it for magic. For
Yeah,
sure.
why not? You've got the stuff active.
yeah, oh yeah. So long as it
And
hasn't been more than 10 minutes.
I get pings from just proximity because the range on Divine Sense is 60
Right, you
feet.
have noted that too.
How long does it
exactly.
last?
It's only around, but the range is
Oh yeah,
60
you would
would've
have
caught
known
that, too.
immediately where they
Right.
were. Yeah.
That it is a very quality steel ingot, but otherwise it's, you call it spiritually,
Yeah, so it's
potentially
not consecrated.
dead.
Okay. What about the arrowheads? Or do they have that same kind of consecration?
They do. Yeah, you got the ping on
Nice.
those
Yay.
things too. Yeah.
I wonder, like, you could, I guess, use that ingot to turn it into like a very, very high quality version of your holy symbol.
That's a thought.
I don't, but I'm not detecting any
And like residual
any
magic
yeah.
there.
I mean,
No.
like the badness that killed the sword didn't get concentrated in this little ingot.
You're saying the right word, yeah.
Ingot.
Yeah, you would say no. It seems like that point of impact might have actually been what, like this was the first part that broke apart. That as it was like destroying the sword,
Yeah, that this ingot is actually like the fracture line.
right? That was made from that piece, that piece that broke away from the rest of it, and that's why the rest of the sword broke from it.
Mm. Okay, neat.
You do fantastic work, and I thank him.
Yeah, he nods, and again, he's beaming himself too. That's really good.
Does he have the same kind of pause about him, like we're supposed to pay him like the street kids? Or
Oh,
I
he
imagine-
would definitely accept money for doing something like this.
Yeah, he's also salaried by a fairly wealthy baron.
I feel like it would make the most sense to pay him, or at least for me.
I think you should at
I'm not
least
a
tip him.
baron. Yeah, I'll give him a tip. And not knowing how a silver standard works, I don't know how much is because if we paid a gold or the equivalent to it, like for sometimes when
Yeah, that was more to keep them on retainer.
yeah, I know,
And
I'm
then
just
the silver after that was
Yeah.
just for doing stuff.
my what's the word for like my understanding, my concept of how much like money is worth is so warped. I have no idea what would be a proper tip. And the last
But
thing I
where's
wanna
that
do is-
economics minor, bud?
Yeah, I didn't study at Arngol.
If you really wanted to pay this guy like as a tip for the work he's done, well, it'd be thousands for the actual work he's done on this. But to tip him, probably like 40 to 60 silver
Okay, that was actually
be-
a number I had in my head. So yeah,
would be the right range for him
I'll do,
as a proper thank you.
I'll do
Here's a
50.
pound of silver.
Yeah, I do 50, take him down to an even 700, and just say like, you do fantastic work. If you find it, I imagine Tide helped you with this.
Get a
And
pouch off.
if I don't see him before we leave, I guess send him my thanks.
Yeah, so
Unless we're rushing out of here.
no doubt they worked. He was yes, of course, my lord. We worked together. He just hasn't had time. I believe he's was working up a particular kind of wood that he thought would be a stronger. He grows his own ash trees to make various arrows from. So he didn't want to use a pine or a poplar or anything else. He wanted a very strong arrow for these, but I don't believe he's already working those up.
Oh, okay, so he's working on
The actual shafts.
full
for the
shafts as well. Okay, cool.
I'll have a show of my thanks sent to you.
Thank you, Baron. That would be very much appreciated.
I guess Jacob just realized, like, wait, you guys aren't carrying all of your silver with you too?
Right, yeah.
Heave a backpack.
Yeah, I actually click
You're
clack
getting
as I walk
stronger
around.
and stronger.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's my resistance workout. It's just carrying all of my wealth.
Literally, that assuming the standard of there's 50 coins to a pound, your half of it was 15 pounds of silver.
Nice.
And you just handed him a pound.
That's fantastic.
It's a lot of silver.
Yeah, so we probably had a couple guys help us carry that back. While I could, it'd be a bigger backpack
And also,
than just kind of a
it
a
really
bag.
is just, I need someone to help me carry my wealth back to the house.
Yeah.
So that's why they have an entourage.
Exactly.
All right,
Okay.
so the next day, probably not later on today, but the next
Yeah.
day.
I'll have a runner send 100 silver for the hammer.
Okay, so
Always gotta one up, man.
I didn't donate half to charity.
Oh, that's a good
I've,
point.
I've got disposable income.
I'm not charity.
I didn't donate half to fund my own secret spy organization.
Fair.
then he says,
Taken.
Well, what I said to him was I'd have an expression of my gratitude sent to him, and then just have that sent to him.
so the kid is holding it. Should I wait for a response?
I won't need one, and I'd send a pair of my guards going with. I'm not
Oh,
just
that's a
sending
good
this
idea.
random guy with
Yeah.
Little kid.
2 pounds of silver. Also because I'd expect if Tim or whichever was sent alone, that about half of that would disappear.
Yeah, be gone on the way. He's paying off some of his own debts.
Yeah, right.
He's living pretty high. He has
It's like, Tim, where did the solid gold grill come from?
Nowhere. Internet.
No, you actually find out that he's one of the people that has one of those nice houses like in the Hewlett district or Vista district.
Yeah.
And he's just putting an addition onto his house right now.
Nice.
All right, so
Made out of the silver coins.
so that's taken care of. It's the next morning when you guys you breakfast, and I'm guessing you gear up full.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, so then
That we're all in gear and then heading over.
Yeah, no, yeah. Full gear. I think we've been moving out that way through the town the entire time, so.
Yeah.
all right. Well, and
You
it's-
guys getting into the kind of the honor guard role.
And we look impressive.
Right, yeah, and that's part of the reason too.
and the Veda Library is not that far away from where you guys are.
Yeah, so we wouldn't need horses or anything.
Okay, so just the three of you walking over there. All right, so you get to it, and right away you can see there's been tons of construction, and it looks as though the Baron himself, that is Baron Fleetwood, has been organizing the repair, and the houses that were damaged by the collapse of the tower. It wasn't that extreme; it mostly fell into street. But
That's
he's
good.
he's having the houses repaired on his own dime. You'd find that out very easily just talking to people. And they're making various stacks of bricks and things and towers just all along the street, the length of the street. Sorry, where the tower fell. So a lot of organization and construction there, but it's still a pretty clear path just to get right up into the main doors and to go inside the place.
Mhm.
So, yeah, we do that.
All right,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Is there, like there was before, are there guards that are standing out here, or is it now back to like open, you can go and you can get this information? It's now back to an open library.
no, with martial law, there's still definitely guards there.
Keep on
and
forgetting about that because
most-
it doesn't apply to us.
It looks like no one's allowed into it right now. But then when the three of you walk up, they exchange some looks, and the one who seems to be in charge, and it is some of those steely-eyed kind of guards. I guess you have to like roll an insight into whether or not you would recognize one of these as being one of the guys who was there from before.
16. Ooh, yeah.
14.
28.
What was it? A natural 20?
Natural 20 plus 8.
Zelen, you recognize that this man actually worked here for the Razio Wizards. That he still seems to have like kept the same
When were
post and
you
position.
Look,
yeah.
I recognize lots of stuff. You don't know what I do all the time?
She's in her book or he's in her book for all like the people like he looked weird, he looked at me funny.
That's right. He was
number
wiggly.
23.
So, but he says, my lords, Baron, why are you here?
We wish to see the inside of the library.
And again, they stand there for a second and then say, of course. And then they step back out of the way and the outer gate is opened and you step yourself into the library itself.
Nice.
So it's through those... Like
Not
that,
how I would have wanted to test out the Arngolian hammer, but I am a little bummed haven't had the opportunity.
that when you move inside, it is a massive area. There's big domed areas, but you come right into and just books, stacks of books. It's just so full. It's amazing. You've never seen so many books in your life. And as you move through it,
I have the last time I was in
the last time
here.
you were there, you can see that there are what looks like buildings made inside this big domed area that cordoned off different areas. And all those doors are opened. And there are very magey looking people, scribe looking kind of people, and then people that are like, have dirt like up to their knees that are moving through, and they're all talking to each other and just intent upon whatever it is they're going through. It does look as though that these are all the Baron's people, Baron Fleetwood's people, and that they're working through finding out, what stuff they haven't been able to get to, for years and years. But then also, other areas too. Roll an insight in
Can't I just keep the last roll?
the guy that just came up, and he looks about half dirty.
I got a natural 19.
Oh, well done. I got a 4.
I got a 14 again.
Yeah,
All right,
so
so
23.
So I did keep the roll I made.
This man looks up, Jacob, and he makes eye contact with you, and he walks right toward you and starts talking to you as though he's known you, and you have never seen this guy before. You have no idea, but for whatever reason, he just focused on you as being a person that seemed to be the person to talk about. And as he gets close, he said,
Arcane check, is he spellcasting?
go do your Arcana.
Yeah. Oh, wow. 16.
He is not.
Okay. I was like, why else would you be walking and talking like he's so confident? Okay. Don't recognize the whatever you're saying.
But he has what looks like an old map, like a blueprint kind of map. And so as he gets close, he points to it and he says, this is the spot where the wall was sealed off right here. Now, we've gone through that. We've taken these things out, and we found a chamber right underneath of it. There was some stairs there, too, but it's what we found right inside that door. I think it's worth looking. Wait, who are you?
Continue.
Oh, we thought, wait, are you one of the Baron's people?
We are. Not a lie.
All right.
It's not a lie.
I like how you said that at the end. We are, not a lie.
Well, yeah, no. David said that.
I'm Baron Boris Kirsonov.
Then I understand. Yes. I was looking for someone else.
Please continue.
There's words above a door behind a wall that was broken through. We broke through it looking to see if a fracture we found in this wall had something to do with the damage that was done to the minaret. We don't believe that it was damage that was done at some time in the past. But instead of just like, putting some kind of mortar into the crack, we thought we'd take that piece of wall down because obviously it was a walled up archway. But then through that, we found her. Well, yeah, come, my lords, my lady. And he takes you into one of those small wooden rooms. There was a massive set of doors on it. And when you go into it, almost immediately you're on stairs, oak, banister built in stone into the wall, and you're wrapping down a spiral staircase going down. Do you proceed with him?
Yes.
Yes.
There
yeah,
are-
Okay,
absolutely.
wait a minute. Did we see the letters that he said were above the doorway?
Not yet. They're
We haven't
down
gotten to
below.
that doorway, I think.
Okay.
There are torches, like standard burning torches, but there are also lights, like some of the street lights that are in the Grangedale Park area that are illuminated here. When you get down to the bottom of this, you can see that right opposite the base of the stairs, there is a grand arch, and there was a wall made inside of it, and it's now been completely removed. And as he takes you on through that, he points and he says, "There, right there. I'm not sure what to make of this or what it means." And as you look up and see it, it's written in Kremlin, which you can read at this point reasonably. You've had enough exposure to it. But it reads, "Herein, it was said, lie the Veda. Those forgiven and welcomed by the Grand Abbot Shapanov. May they rest in the peace of Roanaga, dreaming eternally of fallen Vistar."